So today we're going to talk about what not to do when trading or starting your trading journey. So I want to hear all the horror stories and what we can avoid when we're getting into it.
Yeah, there's definitely some pitfalls that people unfortunately fall into, and over 10 years now, I can't believe how old I am, but over 10 years of doing this, I unfortunately have heard quite a few horror stories. I would probably say the biggest one that I've heard of that upsets me the most is people who give their money to other people to trade on their behalf, and that money just disappears, goes absolutely nowhere, and that tends to obviously be a scam. So I want people to avoid those. One of the things which we are very strict on within Star Trading is people need to know what they're doing with their trading. We are empowering it to do it for themselves. And if you just hand your money over to somebody without knowing the process they're following, not even knowing how they protect your capital or what strategies they're trading and what those strategies are based on, or even what the history of that strategy is, then you're leaving yourself open to being scammed and losing money, and that's the opposite of what we want. People should get into trading because they want to generate capital, right? That's why I got into it, so I could travel and make money anywhere. And so if you're just handing your money over to somebody else, that's not empowering. And we are all about empowerment at Star Trading, so we want to make sure people avoid that.
Yeah, I'm just a bit in shock and outraged for these people that it's happened to. So these people must be really good salespeople.
Incredible salespeople.
I'm a great trader, give me your money, I'll triple it or whatever.
Yeah.
And then it just disappears.
Just disappear, yeah. So they very rarely present themselves as an individual trader. They're often from an organisation that does this with their expert traders of blah, 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 which all sounds lovely. It basically is, I call it kind of the magic pill of the trading world, whereas in the fitness world it's I'll take this magic pill and you'll lose weight and you'll gain all the muscle in the world and you'll be body beautiful in a week. It's kind of like that, but in trading. And unfortunately, trading is not get rich quick. It does make you very, very wealthy if you follow the correct principles like we do at Star Trading, but it's not going to be a get rich quick thing. You're not going to turn £100 into £10,000 in the space of a week. That's not how this works. So the way that these scam artists tend to present themselves is working on behalf of a broker. It's an investment thing. You put your money in, and then you are guaranteed certain returns. You can't ever guarantee returns, but they guarantee returns. They then ask you to put your money into a particular account. You do that. It tends to be offshore, which should be the first red flag. And a little tip here for people: if you are looking at a broker, you're looking at some form of investment thing, go to their website. Legally, on the website, they have to say where they're based. So if, number one, they don't have an address on their website, major red flag, like major red flag. The second one is if their address is not in the UK, not in the USA, not in a financially regulated country, so it's maybe offshore in Cyprus or the Bahamas, that again is a big red flag. So if it's not got an address, or the address is some random country that isn't properly SCA regulated, then you want to avoid.
Yeah, that means you can't chase it or claim it back. Or
Correct, yeah. Unfortunately, because there has been a lot of people pretending to be me online, I do know of people who've been conned out of literally tens of thousands of pounds by people pretending to be me and going to trade on their behalf, because they want that get rich quick, someone doing everything for them, which doesn't tend to work. I've never seen it work, unfortunately. So what I would say is an additional step to stay safe is jump on a call. Jump on a Zoom call. If they're not willing to be on a Zoom call with you where you can see their face and see how they operate, then don't do it. That's a very good way to hand over your money to the wrong person, is if you've not even spoken to them. So make sure you're doing that. So long-winded answer to, do not just hand your money over to somebody else to do it for you if you don't understand how they're doing it, you don't actually know who they are, and if they're operating outside of a financially regulated zone.
It's super risky, isn't it? And it all comes down to like the instant gratification, really quick kind of culture that we're in. The people want really quick wins.
Yeah. And
that should just be a red flag. Like that is, you're definitely going to get burnt.
Yeah. Yeah, if it sounds too good to be true, it often is.
Yeah.
I mean, I say that because sometimes people think that what we do at Star Trading sounds too good to be true, but the reality is it still takes work. You still have to put the work in. We were talking about this over lunch at one point. You have to put the work in. You have to follow the process, do the testing, make sure you understand the strategy, and then you can expect exceptional returns. But to expect exceptional returns when you haven't got any knowledge in that particular industry or sphere is close to madness.
Maybe it's, desperation. Maybe there's people in quite bad situations and they're like, oh, I just need to put 100 quid in and then I'll get £30,000 at the end of the week.
Yeah.
Maybe
I
the last resort thing.
I think there is a lot of that. And unfortunately, if you're in that position, the worst thing you can do is just throw your money at something. You need to figure out a way of generating additional cash flow and getting yourself out of financial stress, because if you're in heavy financial stress, you're not going to be making the smartest decisions. So I think often they do rely on desperation. I think they often rely on people not understanding the way financial markets work, which is, again, a massive reason why education is so important. And I'm not talking just about star trading education. I'm talking about general understanding of financial worlds and how numbers work and things like that.
Cool. How else can we protect ourselves when we're learning to trade?
Well, another thing to definitely not do is approach the markets without any form of strategy. And this is, I talk to property investors a lot, and no property investor who knows what they're doing would just buy a random property in a random area without understanding what strategy they're using and how that strategy performs in the area that they're looking at. And it's the same with trading. You should not ever approach the market just hoping on gut feeling that you're going to make the right decision. That is not how it works if you want to be a long-term successful trader. If you want to have a lucky guess here and there, then you are actually gambling, you're not trading. Trading is about systematic processes that have been tried and tested into strategies that you can repeat and repeat and repeat. That's why star traders are consistently successful and profitable, because they're following a tried and tested system. They're following a strategy. They're not just basing it on gut feeling. So definitely don't approach the markets without a strategy in place.
Do people do this?
Yes.
Do they really?
Yeah, a lot of people. I've met people over the years who have literally spent years gambling the financial markets thinking they were trading, but they have no system, they've got no strategy. And it becomes so obvious so quickly from just a couple of questions. So when I say to people who tell me they're trading, first of all I ask them, so what's your average percentage return? If they don't know the answer to that, then they just aren't trading categorically. If they do know the answer to that, they tend to say, I'm about break even. That's code for I'm losing money. They just don't want to admit it. And then you ask them a few more questions like, so what's your win-loss ratio? They don't know. What's the strategy you're using? What components? What indicator you're using? And they don't know. Well, sometimes I'm looking at this, sometimes I'm looking at that. If you're not consistently trading the same principles, the same processes, you cannot test what it is you're doing. And the reason our method is featured in Bloomberg is because it's so data driven, and we can only have that level of quality data because we're following the same step-by-step process each time. And when you have a step-by-step process, it's repeatable and it's teachable, and other people can master it as well.
And it works.
And it works.
It's doing great things for people.
Yeah.
Have you got any more tips of what not to do?
Yes. So third tip I would say is, what is my third tip? I've got a few little cheat sheet here. Yes, don't ever trade without safety measures in place. So again, when people are gambling, they don't really know what they're doing. They're not following a process. They aren't protecting themselves. And that is where people get into difficulty. That's where you find people say, I tried that once and it didn't work for me, so it's never going to work for you. I lost all my money. Well, how did you lose all your money? Because the star trading method, it's mathematically impossible for you to lose all your money.
Yeah.
Which is why we can give the guarantee that you're never going to blow an account if you follow our processes. Why? Because part of our process, part of our system is having risk methodology. It's having money protection in place, which keeps people safe. So never ever approach the financial markets or even get involved in financial markets if you don't understand how to protect the downside. Because if you protect the downside, you protect the risk, then you actually can maximize the profit potential as well. We were talking as well earlier about a new strategy that we're trialing, which is incredibly low risk but high reward, which this month has, what month are we in? February? Last month it generated about 30% just off of that one strategy. Yeah, really low risk, high reward.
That's huge.
Yeah, but we're not releasing that to the community yet. Why? Because we want to make sure it is tried and tested over a longer period of time than just 1 month before we start releasing it to our students and our members.